Welcome to the Level Up Life podcast. I'm your host, Scottie Hobbs, and welcome to this episode. Today, we're going to have a conversation with Justin Prince. He's a husband and a father of four. He's an international speaker, the author of the bestseller, Be the One, the Universal Roadmap to Create, Design, and Live an Unforgettable Life. He is also generated $2.4 billion in sales, and he's the host of the Justin Prince Show. Justin, welcome to the show.
First of all, honored to be on with you, brother. Appreciate you, inviting and all the value that you're adding to so many people. So, I came from kind of a middle-class family in Salt Lake City, Utah. My mom, when she married my dad, he had two kids. And so my older sister, older brother, and then I was my mom's oldest. And so they were 4 and 5 when I was born. And when I was 12, my parents got divorced. So I was the oldest at home. We had 4 kids at home. And we moved 13 times in the 7 years to the teenage years. And so it was, that was kind of an interesting time as you're kind of bouncing around. I have no professional background. I was making pizzas and doing construction work. I have no college education. What I did have is what I'm sure a lot of your listeners have, which is I had big dreams and big goals, and I wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to make things happen. I wanted to become successful and live a significant life, And when I was 25 years old, I was introduced to my first business. I just went for it. I told my wife, I'm like, honey, we're going to do this, and I just went for it. And over about a 2-year period, we were having some successes, but ultimately the company itself that we were distributing products for, in other words, the parent company actually went out of business. And so when that happened, it left us below zero financially, back on credit cards, back on taxes. We were in kind of a precarious financial situation. We had moved my pregnant wife and our now 2 kids into the loft above my wife's parents' garage. So I had 2 kids sleeping in the closet. My wife and I slept in this little loft area. I went and picked up 2 part-time jobs. One I did in the weekdays, one I did in the weekends. I got enough courage to go start another business. I was like, I'm going to be free. But here I am, kids sleeping in the closet. I'm working like a dog with these multiple jobs. And I'm like, am I crazy? Like, is this ever going to actually work for our family, And if you're listening to this and you've ever asked yourself those questions, like I know people are successful. I know Scottie's got it figured out. The person on Instagram, I get all that, but do I have what it takes? I know those questions. And eventually in that business, we did figure it out. And I ultimately sold that business when I was about 29. And then I did private equity consulting for 2 years. But my last business was kind of interesting. I came into a failing company. It was a 25-year-old company. I came in as a consultant originally. And our job was to basically see if we could turn around this company. It was 8 years in a row of double-digit negative decline, compounding decline in revenue. It was, had expiring, millions of dollars of expiring inventory, markets all over the world. It was just a mess. And we came in as part of a consulting team to see if we could turn it around. We ultimately basically created a startup company out of it, but then also was transforming the old company. So it was like a turnaround and a startup at the same time. And I went out and built a sales team, a sales organization all over the world that, we did $2.5 billion in revenue. We acquired millions and millions and millions and millions of customers, paid out over $1 billion in commissions to this sales organization. And it was just a really, really positive experience. And so all of that stuff has kind of led me to, writing the book. I wrote a book called Be the One. Now there's 2 parts to the book, and both are important for your life as you're listening to this. The first one is the recognition that you're the one. Success is an identity process, and you'll never outperform the way you see yourself. And so if you see yourself as a loser, you're not going to show up and play like a winner. If you see yourself as a winner, you're not going to roll over and quit like a loser. Like you're going to perform at some level to the way you see yourself. And when you realize that you're the one, if you were to take your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and go up 12 generations was 4,094 people. 4,094 people from all over the world came together to create you. You are the one, and you're the one these folks lived for and bled for and cried for and died for and gave everything they had for, was for you to have this moment. And so the book is not to become the one. You are the one. Recognize who you really are. But the second part is to be. And so to your point, Scottie, it's all the frameworks and the formulas and it's a roadmap of what you would need to do to create, design, and live an unforgettable life where future generations look up in their family lineage and they say, it was him, or it was her. She's the one for our family, or he's the one for our family. And they're telling your story. So that's been something that I've gone out. We've, created a best-selling book with that. And so we're out sharing that message as well.
That's awesome. Just listening to you tell that story, what was the moment in your life where you realized I'm the one, like I'm going to be the one?
So interesting. even as a little kid, I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm going to be successful. Just like kind of started like, you started creating this like identity for yourself. And there was many times where I didn't have that. So in other words, I remember coming home after I couldn't sell. I worked at a mall kiosk selling animated Bible videos. I couldn't sell anything. And I remember I was like 21 years old. I just gotten home from a church service mission. So at this point, I was actually living at my mom's house. I was still, I wasn't married, just barely gotten home. And I told my mom, like, I suck at sales, mom. I suck at sales. And she's like, no, I'm like, I'm not doing okay. I'm terrible. Because you had to rent out the kiosk. So in other words, it was all commission. If you sold, you made money. If you didn't sell, not only did you not make money, but you owed $50 per shift because you had to rent out this kiosk. And so I got to a point where I had to shift that identity into like, I'm going to learn how to sell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to learn these people skills, learn how to work hard. I always had work hard was part of my DNA. That's how I was raised, but build the people skills and then build, the attitude to really perform. And so my point is on one hand, I saw myself like, I'm going to do it. And then on the other hand, you have these times when you get knocked down. And that first business failed, I had grown man tears rolling down my face. Like, I quit, I give up. It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about confidence. And I believe that confidence, believing in yourself is the foundation of success. But what was interesting in the podcast is like, there's some ways to build confidence. So one way you can do it is through proof. Like proof builds confidence. Like when you start doing things over and over, you start building proof of what you're saying. Another way to build confidence is through your intentions. You just know that you're confident in your intentions. Your intentions are pure. Another way to do it is to keep commitments you make to yourself. Like, do you show up and do what you say you're going to do? But another way that they said in this podcast that I thought was interesting, and it's one that I look at now today, and I have a ton of confidence in, which is basically the confidence that I can figure things out. Like, do I have confidence I can figure things out? And I've been through enough in my life. And I feel like I've been fighting my whole life, right? Even as a little kid, through those teenage years, through my early marriage, like fighting to like make it happen for myself and for my family. And now I just have a lot of confidence I can figure it out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like challenges hit and you're like, I got this, I can figure this out. And that gives you a lot of confidence. You're ultimately going to win because you're just like, I'm not going to let this stuff beat me. I'm going to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, that's powerful. Just looking back on all the things that you have overcome, challenges that you've overcome, and playing off of that knowledge that you can overcome those things, and everything's figure outable. I love that. What's
That's
what is
exactly
a
right.
what's a hard challenge that you've gone through in your life or in business, and what did you learn from that?
Oh my gosh, so
I
many.
mean, there's
I
probably a
mean,
few, but
yeah, so many. I mean, that first business failing was really painful. It's embarrassing. Your economic situation's all screwed up. You're living in the loft above your wife's parents' garage. I was a grown man. I was 27 years old. I live in the United States of America. I was married. I have kids, and I'm living in the loft of my wife's parents' garage, selling 25-year shelf life food storage products on the weekdays and selling animated Bible videos at fairs and events on the weekends. It's like, man, what the freak? And chasing a dream to be free as an entrepreneur. I remember thinking to myself, I was sharing a dream with other people that I wasn't even living myself. It wasn't that I was lying to anybody, but I was like, hey, we could accomplish this and we could accomplish that. We could make some stuff happen. And I wasn't even living it myself. I was driving a white Toyota Corolla, 250,000 miles. I was back on my credit cards. I was back on taxes. I was below zero financially. And, you know, as I went through that, I remember I made two promises. I'm driving on the freeway and I was just at my wit's end. Anyone that can relate to, you're just like, man, you're about ready to give up. You're just like, I don't know if I have it. And I had this conversation out loud with myself. And honestly, I had this conversation out loud with God. I was like having this conversation. I was like, look, if I ever become successful, I promise. I made two promises. Promise number one, I promise I won't forget what it feels like to struggle. Like, I won't forget the lump in your throat when you're financially below it. Anyone that can relate to this, you're like, it never leaves. Every time you swallow, you feel it, or the pressure on your chest. So I promised myself I wouldn't forget what it felt like to struggle. Number two, I promised myself if I ever became successful, I would do everything that I could to help other people to achieve their dreams and achieve their goals. Like, in other words, I was trying to wear myself out in serving other people. And I've done my best to keep, both of those promises as, here I am years after that happened. And so those struggles, I tell people there's really three sections to the journey. There's a dream, the struggle, the victory. There's three sections and they're all equal. So in other words, if you want a big dream and a big victory, you have to sign up for a struggle equal to or commensurate to the size of the dream. And what a lot of us want is big dreams, small struggles, big victories. And it's just not how the life works. And so one of the things that I learned as I kind of went through it was, when you're in the struggle section, you want to take good notes, because people will relate more to your struggles than they will your victories. But then also you want to remind yourself that the struggle section is not your story. How you overcame the struggle is your story. So the bigger the struggle you're in right now, the louder the applause when you cross stage. The bigger the struggle you're in right now, the bigger the accolades and cheer is when you go accomplish it. Because the bigger the struggle, the bigger the story of what you're going to go right. Because people are going to like, how did you overcome this? So don't anchor down in the identity of the struggle, because the struggle is not your story. The story is how you overcome this section and get to the victory section.
Yeah. What's your biggest piece of advice to someone that is in that struggles part of the season and they have that dream to go to the next level? What advice do you give them other than what you just shared about understanding that they're all equal, all three of those seasons?
Yeah. So, I'd encourage you, again, take good notes. I'd encourage you to not identify and anchor yourself down to the struggle. You're not your divorce. You're not your bankruptcy. You're not what you did, but you are what you repeatedly do. And so you're constantly updating this identity to say, I'm moving through this section. Like you understand the section you're in. So in other words, don't curse God that you're in the struggle section. The struggle section is part of the journey. It's just you look to get through this section. Don't own this section. Don't anchor down, right? And I think some of those things, number one is the update of your identity. And, who am I? Like, I'm better than this. I got this. Number two is I would model mentors. Like if you look at Kobe modeled Jordan. Like everyone, you want to be looking for models, people that you can model, people that have actually been there and done that you can model or draft after, because you can learn so much by, a smart man learns by his own experience. A wise man learns by the experience of others. And you want to model after other people. And then the third thing I would say is this: you just keep moving forward. Like a lot of us, what happens is the direction is more important than the destination. So you may not be at your ultimate destination, but are you moving in the right direction? And are you pointing and moving in the right direction? Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Keep moving. Because there's times when you just want to lay down and just bleed and just be like, this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. But you got to get back up and keep moving in the right direction. And that pointed in the right the direction pointing in the right way, headed towards the destination. If you want to lose 30 pounds, just make sure you build the habits, and maybe you're only down 3 pounds, but you're heading in the right direction. If you want to make $1 million and you've only made 30,000, are you moving in the right direction? And just keep moving forward. The only way to get through the challenges is to go through the challenges. You can't skirt around it. Churchill said in the most discouraging days of World War II, he said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
You can't stop here. You got to keep going and get through this thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was just thinking about a conversation I was having today about this incredible entrepreneur I know. He helped turn around his father's failing grocery business from a couple million in debt to a couple million profits now after his father fell ill. And he's building a network marketing business. And he had this, we had this conversation where we were sharing some new goals. We created this mastermind of some high performers, and this someone shared their goals, and there was this comparison, like, man, they're putting up much bigger numbers than me. So as someone is taking all the right steps, or maybe moving in the right direction, taking the right steps, knows what the goal is, what's your biggest piece of advice to someone who might be feeling discouraged about their pace compared to others?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of language and teachings on comparison, like the comparison's the thief of joy. Okay. I think comparison can be really, really, really powerful sometimes, because comparison can kick you in the butt to say, you know what? They're working harder than I am. They're more focused than I am. Like they're putting in more effort than I am. That's the one thing. So you can use comparison and proper amounts of competitiveness to get yourself going. Like you can be also inspired. Like, dude, if it's possible, remember, there's 5 levels of certainty. And when you think of the word certainty, guess how certain we are about things that we're certain about? really certain, so I tell people to like loosely hold strong opinions. You want to be willing to like listen and learn and not anchor down to self-limiting, ways of looking at their life. But the lowest level of certainty is that it's impossible. Listen, if it's impossible, guess how much energy, time, passion, drive, commitment you're going to put into something that's completely impossible? Well, not very much. Why? Because it's impossible. So the next level up is possible. Possible is a big step. Possible says if it's possible for one, it's possible for many. So listen, they may be kicking your butt right now, but guess what they are showing you? They're at least showing you it's possible. What if it was impossible? What if no one in the world was winning? Nobody, like no one was winning. That's pretty discouraging. But at least they're showing you it's possible. So you can draft off that and take some inspiration from it. Next step up is improbable. Yes, it's possible, but it's improbable. Like the odds of me pulling this off are low. Next step up would be probable. Probable means the deck stack in my favor. I might be able to pull this thing off, right? And then lastly is inevitable. Inevitable is it's guaranteed to happen. It's not likely or hopeful, it's guaranteed. And you can go through those levels of certainty. I've had people, for example, in a month when I had sales teams, in 1 month, they would go from it's impossible to it's possible to it's improbable, but it's probable to it's inevitable, all within a month.
Yeah.
They'd walk themselves through those certain levels of certainty. And they'd go from it's impossible to it's inevitable, all within a period of a number of days or a number of weeks. That's pretty powerful. They were certain it was impossible, and they were certain it was inevitable, all within a couple of days. And I share that with you to say you want to pull from people that if someone's crushing it, man, at least it's possible. And by the way, what are they doing differently than me? Like, how can I improve? How can I get better? Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Like, you want to improve and adapt. And then when it does come to the comparisons of like, man, I guess I don't have what it takes, if you, again, I would shift that a little bit into like, at least it's possible, number one. But then the second thing I would say is you do have to run your own race, right? Like your chapter, like I have a buddy of mine who's actually on my podcast here today named Travis Wallace. Travis and I met. He's, if you know Kyle Lowry is the 6-time All-Star, multiple time or NBA champion, and then also won an Olympic gold medal. He plays for I think the Sixers now. Travis is his personal trainer. So he travels around the world with Kyle and his family. And I met Travis when I was in Puerto Rico with my family a couple years ago. I go to the gym with my son, and this dude's and he's probably 6'5", former professional basketball player. He is so jacked. It's just scary. I saw him on Instagram today, and I was like, I could look at how freaking jacked this dude is, and I could be like discouraged about it. I look at it and I take inspiration. I'm just like, now I want you to know my body type and his body type. I will never look like Travis Wallace. I could try, but it's just not how I'm built. It's just I'm 5 foot nothing. He's 6'5", right? He's probably 240. I'm 200. I mean, he's just built like a freight train. Just abs for days, the whole thing. But I take inspiration from it. Like I try and learn from it, even though I can't compare my chapter 27 to his chapter, chapter 1. We just have a different path that we're on, but I can still pull inspiration from it. I can still learn from it. I can still, ask him for nutrition tips or fitness tips, etc. So that's what I'd say is like, listen, at least it's possible. I'd rather it's possible than not possible. And then the second thing is what can you do to improve? And then third would just be how can you pull from what they're doing, pull inspiration, pull ideas, pull tips, pull concepts where you say, that's what I need to move forward. And then you just keep going for it. You keep chasing the stuff down.
Yeah. Adapt that approach and learn from others and what they're doing. I love that. Dude, I was thinking about when you're talking about your friend and being jacked. I'm 5'11", and I have this goal to two-hand dunk a basketball for the first time. And it gets discouraging sometimes. Like I was 10 minutes before our podcast, I was out there trying to dunk a volleyball, and I kept getting
crazy.
stuffed. But I found people on Instagram that are like 5'8", that are like putting their elbows in the rim and everything. I'm watching them like, if it's possible for that guy at 5'8",
that's a super cool story, man.
To do that.
That is really cool. Good for you.
So yeah, and so I'm kind of pulling from that advice that you're sharing there, kind of that same idea, just in a different concept with my health and fitness. So I was listening to a podcast that you did on the Maxwell podcast, and you were talking about the 3 C's, and I was just fascinated about the 3 C's. Is that something that you could share with us?
What
those are?
Yeah, in my book, I I teach a success loop. And the way I want you to think about it is each one leads to the next one, which leads to the third one, which leads back to the first one, which leads to the second one. And they create momentum. Momentum is the secret to life. Momentum is a secret to business. And so these create momentum in your life, these C's. The first one is confidence. The foundation of your success is believing in yourself. If you won't believe in you, it's hard to get everyone else to believe in you. You got to have a baseline of confidence. We talked about the confidence earlier. Your confidence leads to commitment. Confident people are committed. Where there is no confidence, there is no commitment. We talked about it earlier, saying these levels of certainty, like how committed would you be to something that you thought was completely impossible? How committed would you be to something that you thought you had no chance, like a nutrition program you had no confidence was going to work, or a business plan you had no confidence was going to work? Well, not very much. Your confidence builds commitment. And Zig Ziglar said that most people have the commitment level of a kamikaze pilot on their 47th mission. I mean, they're super in, super out. You just want to be all in. Like, there's no lukewarm winners. The fastest way in math to get from A to B is what? It's a straight line, right? It's what I call straight line commitment. Most of us, we're super in, we're super out, we're super back in, super back out, back in, back out. Listen to a podcast, we're in. Customer quits, we're out. Like, we're just kind of all over the map from a commitment level. The fastest way to get there is not this big long journey of ups and downs. The fastest way to get there is I'm just in. Just get committed, stay committed. And then your commitment leads to competence. So competence is when you build your skill sets. You basically get better. What happens when you build new skills, like in other words, your competency level rises, is your confidence rises, because you're now better. You're not like just doing it on enthusiasm. You actually know what to say. Like, you're really, really highly skilled. That confidence drives more commitment, because you're like, I'm a guarantee I'm going to make this thing work. Yeah. My success is inevitable, what we talked about. The confidence and the commitment drives more competency, more skill set building, and then it starts to spin the loop. So let me ask this question. If you're listening to this right now, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But what if you're struggling with your confidence right now? So in other words, your confidence in yourself, your confidence in whether you have what it takes, your confidence in taking action. Maybe you're struggling there, so it's hard for you to get into the loop. And what you want to start with is a fourth C, which is courage. And courage is taking action when you don't feel like you know what to do. Courage is moving forward when you're not confident that it's going to all pan out. That's courage. And it takes courage to move forward. And there's a great story. I reference this in the book. Mark Batterson's a Christian author, and he wrote a book called Chase the Lion. And he tells the story of this old Bible story called about a guy named Benaniah. Benaniah, he said he chased a lion into a pit on a snowy day. And first question I'd ask you is this, and think about this. How many people do you know that chase lions into pits on snowy days? The answer for most of us is not many. And so it's because that a lion chaser is rare, and anything that's rare is more valuable. So a diamond that's rare is more valuable. A baseball card that's rare is more valuable. A friendship that's rare is more valuable. Anything that's rare is more valuable. And people who chase lions into pits on snowy days, they're rare. People that have courage, the lion is the dream. So think of it this way. What are your dreams? What are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish in your life? That's the lion. Most people, when they hear the roar of the lion, they ignore the roar or they run from the roar. But lion chasers run to the roar. They chase the lion. They have that level of courage. Now, courage precedes confidence. Today, you take action. Today, you move forward. Today, you get over your self-limiting beliefs. Today, you walk towards the dream. Why? Because that leads you start chasing the lion. That builds the confidence. The confidence builds the commitment. The commitment builds the competency, and it starts to spin the loop. But today, you got to have courage.
Yeah, I love that. What's something in your life that has been a lion?
Yeah, I have so many. I mean, Brendon Burchard wrote a book called High Performance Habits.
Yeah.
And he said that if you were to tap a high performer on the shoulder and ask them what's their latest dream, like what's their latest goal, they can answer that question 7 to 10 seconds faster than the rest of the population. In other words, it's something that's on the tip of their tongue. They think about this stuff all the time, the dream, the goal, the vision. And so what I would share with you is this is, I had a dream to become financially free and to help my family to be free. I had a dream or a vision or a goal to build a family, right? To have a wife and kids and like to have a happy family. I came from a divorced family. My biggest fear growing up was marriage. I didn't want to like have it end in a divorce. I saw the pain that caused. Those were all dreams and they were goals. And here's what's so cool about humans. This is actually what separates humans from the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom is all reactive. So for example, if a gazelle or a deer hears a twig snap in the out in the woods, they instantly react. They instantly, jolt and run away. Why? Because it's self-defense, right? That twig snap could be a predator. A human, you don't have to just react to life. You can actually create life. This is the difference. You can actually like cast out a vision and say, I'm gonna go make that happen. I'm gonna go create that reality. Like right now, it's just an idea, but I'm gonna go make that idea into a real thing. That is so powerful if you think about it. Like if you like the life you're living right now, if you want to live a whole different life in 3 years, 5 years, 1 year, you can do it because you can create a new vision for your life and go chase that thing down, go make that thing happen. And so it's crazy, Scottie, as I actually had this, the life that I'm living now was actually once a vision for me. Like I'm like literally living a dream that was once in my heart. It was once in my mind. And then I went and created it in reality, went and made it happen. So that's possible for all of us to do that. All of us can go chase these things and make them real. And that's a pretty powerful time, pretty powerful thing to do.
That is powerful. It's funny that you said that. I was just going to ask you if you're living the life that you thought you would 5 years ago. So that was beautiful that you sharing that. I also love that you shared about your family, that you had some fears around that. My mission that I'm trying to get out there on social media is reminding people, even though I'm out there to help mentor people in their business and help people become healthy, fit, and feel good. My goal is to help remind people that their family is their most important work on earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I try to tie that into every one of these podcasts as well. And so it's one of the main reasons I want you to know that I picked you to be on here, because you exemplify that with your family. I see you talk about your kids, the example that they're, of them, you're with them at their activities and sharing all of that. So I love
I
that.
appreciate that. Yeah. I mean,
So
look, we share a similar value set. So there's a man years ago named David O. McKay that said, no success outside the home can compensate for failure inside the home. And as I think of like my life's work, so I built salespeople all over the world. My team that I built had 50 people making over $1 million a year. I mean, like, in other words, I love this idea of helping people with their economic impact. But the real, the real legs to my legacy are my kids. It's like the impact I have with, on my kids' lives. And so if I were to go crush business and crush life, and I'll make all that stuff happen, but I'm blowing it at home, and my wife is miserable and my kids are not looked after, whatever. Like to me, I was asked when I was in Japan once, they called me Justin Son. Son is basically like Mister, but they say son after. Say Justin Son, Justin Son. They said in broken Japanese, they said, is it love or money? And I said, what do you mean? They said love or money. And the interpreter said, they're asking what's more important, money or family, money or love.
yeah,
And I said, oh, easy. I said, it's love. It's love, it's family. And that's what I would share, is that's the most important thing. That in the last of the book, I talk about there's two races. Race number one is all the stuff we think we're chasing, right? The Instagram followers and the money and the business and the success and the car and the house and the home and the whole thing. Okay, cool. I want to start by saying, I want you to have all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. I freaking hope you'll get it. However, the second race is the real race. The real race is your relationship with your faith. The real race is your relationship in your marriage. The real race is how you raise your kids. Like it's your real legacy stuff. It's the way you treat people. And if you win the first race, but you lose the second race, I actually think you lost the race, because the real race is the second race. Now, I talk to people sometimes that say, I'm not successful, but at least I'm spiritual. And I go, no, dude, God gave you gifts and talents that weren't given to you for you. Your gifts and talents were given to you for the rest of us. And so the real race is actually you can actually win both. You can win both races. You can go crush life, crush your goals, make the money, build the house, live the dream, and keep your values and morals and principles intact at the same time, raise a beautiful family. So that's something that I try and do, is I try and win both of those races.
yeah. Thank you. I've never heard of it in that word of the two races like that. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. What do you do to help balance building your businesses, continuing to pursue dreams and add value to other people, and raise a family and stay present?
Yeah. So look, I believe in what I call work-life integration versus work-life balance. I don't know if there's actual balance. I think that might be a fool's errand over time
Yeah.
if you're really, really ambitious. So integration means I try and enlist my wife and kids in the family. I even tell them our finances. I get into the details with them because I want the journey and the ups and the downs of the entrepreneurial ride to be something that they're living too. And I'll say to them, I'll give you an example. I'll give you kind of a micro example. Let's say that you have a business goal that you're trying to hit. You say, kids, listen, mom needs 5 new customers between now and the end of the month. 5 new customers means we're gonna hit our goal. Then you want to translate the goal. The goal creates clarity. That's the good news. But you want to translate it into the reward. Because we're not motivated by goals. You're not, I'm not, the kids aren't. We're motivated by the reward for achieving the goal. So when you translate it, you say, what that means, guys, is if mom can get this, we're all going to go to ice cream. If mom can get this, we're going to go to the park with no phones. If mom can get this, we're going to go whatever, that just, we're going to go hang out together, whatever it is. You want the kids to say, hey, mom, where are you at on your goal? How many customers do
Yeah.
you have? And you need 5. And oh, baby, I'm already at 3, but it's really hard. And, like, mom, got to go get it done. Like, let's go work harder. I talked to my teacher today, mom. My teacher wants to buy from you. Like, the point is the kids, it's not your goal. It's our goal. It's a family goal. And so it's not your business. It's the family business. They're not resenting this effort and time you're putting in. They're chasing it down themselves, right? They're making it happen themselves. That's the goal, right? That's the bigger goal. And so I try and enlist my kids, and so we create family goals. I'll share this with you right now just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
This is something we just wrote. We're polishing this right now as we speak, but we just wrote this over the weekend. It's kind of let's call it a mission statement. It's too long for probably a mission statement, but it's kind of like it's like family declarations.
Okay.
So this will give you an idea, right? We are the princes. We are disciples of Jesus Christ. We are loving, respectful, and compassionate. We are faithful, honest, and fiercely loyal. We are here to serve others and add value. We are hard workers and are grateful for what we have. We are hungry to improve and look to learn from each person we meet. We strive to be excellent in everything we do. We stand up for ourselves and others. We are strong and don't back down. We are fighters. We fight for our family, friends, freedom, faith, and finances. We are committed to being healthy and fit. We love to have fun, make memories, and laugh a lot, right? So we worked on this. We kind of been crafting this thing down.
Yeah.
Anyway, that to me is enlisting the family. Those are declarations. Those are identities, right? Like, your kids start to say, this is who we are. This is who I am. And those identities start to make, when we fight for our finances, for example, that's part of being hungry and getting out there and making stuff happen. So they realize that's part of what it's all about for our family. Like, it's not one, how would I share that with you? It's not single faceted, it's multifaceted. We're fighting for this, these different things. So that to me is how you do it. You try and enlist the kids, enlist your wife, enlist the family. So it's not, they resent you like, dad's working again. They're kind of like, dad, let's make this thing happen, because you're doing family goals, and you celebrate as a family as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm gonna list my family in creating something like that. That'll be our next Monday night activity that we'll do. So
yeah, I'll share this. What I did, and this is for any of you that have kids, is I asked them some questions. I said, everyone write down, what are words that describe our family, right? They all wrote. And I said, all right, next, what's our family common enemies? What are common enemies? And they're like, well, what does that mean? Like, what are we against? What do we stand against? Sometimes you can find a lot about what you're for by what you're against, right? Okay, cool. I wrote that down. I asked them, I said, what are our family's values? Like, what do we value as a family? So we wrote a bunch of things down, and we went around the table. And then what we did is we kind of compiled those words. Like, sometimes, because you'd have similar words, you would say it, 2 kids would say it, your wife says it, your other little son says it. So you start compiling the words, and then those words, you start crafting them in a way. I tried to weight them in order of importance. Like, in other words, if you go back through that, I tried to weight the most important ones first, and then second, and then third, and fourth, and fifth, and then just kind of wordsmith it from there. So that's a quick way to think about how to do it.
Awesome. We'll take that and put that into practice. I want to ask you a final question. I know we got to wrap this up here shortly. I want to just ask you personally, what are you most proud of in your life?
Well, kind of going back to what we just talked about, and I don't mean to repeat this, but it's for sure number one. But I'm most proud of my wife and kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm most proud of this family we've created. Um, I had a friend call me once and he goes, dude, will you do a coaching for like parents, like a parents coaching thing, like a coaching group? And I go, yeah. I go, I'm not. And he goes, no, I'm serious. He's like, I'm dead serious. He's like, I'll be serious. He's like, I'll pay you. He's like, I want to like, hear what you do. And so I said, listen, it's only 3 steps. And I said, so write these down. These are really important. I said, 3 steps. I said, step 1 is marry Missy. Step 2 is have amazing kids. And step 3 is don't blow it. So, I don't know how much credit I can take for much of any of this other than have amazing kids and marry Missy. It's that's the secret formula.
Yeah.
But with that said, I am super proud of my wife and kids. Like to me, you could take everything from me, take all the dollars, take all the whatever, and I would, if as long as I got my wife and kids and we got our family and our values and what we're doing, like I'm good. I'm good. I can live anywhere. In other words, I can go pull it all. I'm a happy person as long as they're all, they're not entitled. They're hard workers. They're grateful. They're people that add value. I'm good.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I was thinking about as you were saying, I was thinking about my wife, how lucky I am. I remember when I first started, decided to venture off and do my thing. I was working 12-hour days. She was working nights. And I remember enrolling and telling her about this thing I was going to do. And she's like, well, I don't know what that thing is, but I know that whatever it is, that you can make it happen.
That's so
And it
cool.
was just
Yeah,
that belief in
of
her.
course.
And then, we have big dreams and goals that we're striving after, building our dream house, building our 5th vacation rental. And she just stops me sometimes as we're going through all the details of what doing those things takes. And she's like, I'm happy with what we have, like more than happy and blessed with what we have. And so I feel extremely blessed for someone like that in my life to keep me, that encourages me to strive, but also saying like, hey, I love you, and just for being a husband and a father. Like, it's cool that you're doing those things. I believe in you going after and doing all those things, but it's not necessary to be
Yeah, I
loved
love that.
and
That's
appreciated.
awesome.
So, well, Justin, I've appreciated you having on here. Just one final plug. If you haven't gotten this book yet, go get Be the One. I'll put a link to it in the description of the video. Also, Justin has a podcast that you can go listen to. Absolutely incredible guest on there. Is there any other place you want to plug, Justin, where people
Yeah, I
can
mean,
get
just
connected with
across all
you?
social media platforms, either Justin Prince or I am Justin Prince. You can go to iamjustinprince.com as well to get plugged into the podcast I put out a ton of content, right? So stuff that will help you for free to really be the one in your life, to be the one that future generations know exactly who you are, to create and to design and to live an unforgettable life.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Justin. Thanks for your time.
Honor to be on with you, brother.
Enjoy the rest of the day with the family.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible episode with Justin Prince, and we hope that you enjoyed the content that we shared with you today and invite you to send this to some friends. We'll see you next time, and don't forget that your leveled up life is just a few decisions away.